Om Shri Sai Ram, Shri Satyasai Satcharitra, Tapovanam, Chapter 16. Significance of Namasmaran. Tulasamma. Namasmaran means summoning God. Namasmaran means telephoning God. Maya, the terrible dog. Earnest prayer. I am ever waiting for you. The oppressed are my children, goat and mind. Significance of Namasmaran. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Aiva Kevalam. Kalau Nastaiva, Nastaiva, Nastaiva Gatir Anyatha. Chanting of the Lord's name is the only way to liberation in the Kali age. God's name only will redeem us. Any mighty task can be achieved by chanting the divine name, Baba. Namasmaran means remembering or chanting God's name repeatedly. It is one of the spiritual practices enjoined on as aspirant endeavoring to reach God. The importance Swami attaches to it is illustrated by an incident. A devotee asked Swami, Swami, we often hear about total surrender, Sharanagati. How is one to accomplish it? Swami answered softly, Bangaru, Sharanagati is beyond you. Why do you bother about it? Resort to Namasmaran. God himself will be at your beck and call. Swami once explained the special significance of Namasmaran. It is the most sublime of all the spiritual practices. It consists of japam, chanting of God's name repeatedly. It is the most infallible penance, tapas. Kuchela could attain Lord Sri Krishna's grace only through Namasmaran. When you do Namasmaran, intone the name with fervor, deep devotion and love. It bestows on you immense benefit. In this Kali Yuga, Namasmaran is enough to earn salvation and release from the otherwise unbroken circle of birth and death. Namasmaran is the one and only divine medicine capable of curing you of lack of mental equanimity, avarice and other ills which torment you. It gives you abiding peace and contentment. The name you choose can be any one of the thousands of names of God, or it can be any of the names now in common use in any religion, country or region of the world, or in any section of devotees. Select any name and devote at least 5 minutes every day for Namasmaran. Make it a part of your daily routine. It will give you immense benefit. Tulasamma. A long time ago, a devotee called Tulasamma was residing in Prashantanilayam. Once while she was going to her native place by auto rickshaw, the vehicle dashed against a wayside tree and overturned at a deserted place. She was seriously wounded in her wrist. While falling down from the auto rickshaw, she loudly cried, Sai Ram. Within moments of the accident, a car arrived at that lonely spot. The driver picked up both Tulasamma and the auto driver and took them to his house. The lady was aware that her wound was serious enough, but as she came to know later, she had been rescued from a more terrible fate. During interrogation, the auto driver revealed some startling details. When he noticed expensive gold ornaments on her body, he was tempted to rob them. That was why he drove to that isolated spot and intentionally crashed it into the tree. He expected Tulasamma to become unconscious and he would be able to get away with her ornaments. But at the moment of impact, she suddenly cried out, Sai Ram. That Namasmaran had the effect of changing his mind. He was surprised that just at the moment of her terrible ordeal, she could utter God's name so fervently. He felt that she must be very noble and pious and that he should not rob such a lady. Moreover, although normally the spot was most of the time unfrequented, surprisingly on that specific day somebody came in a car at the crucial moment and ruined his plan. The auto driver was disturbed at this coincidence. Was it a divine intercession? The poor fellow shuddered at the very thought. The driver confessed all this to Tulasamma, narrated every detail of the incident and expressed sincere remorse. He did not stop there. From that time onwards, he became friendly and very close to her. He would visit her often and inquire about her welfare. He became, as it were, an intimate friend, in fact, a well meaning relative. This episode highlights the power of Namasmaran. Namasmaran means summoning God. Peddabottu, the great devotee of Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba, of whom we have read about earlier, often asked him, Swami, what is meditation, dhyan, and how do I do it? Swami used to put her off. He would merely say, don't bother about dhyan. You are doing Namasmaran, that is good enough. One night she was sleeping under a tree opposite Swami's residence. As it began to drizzle, she removed herself from there and prepared to sleep in the veranda outside Swami's room. As she was making her bed, she said to herself, as a matter of habit, Om Shri Sai Ram. Swami came out and pulled her up. You stupid, won't you allow me to sleep? Peddabottu said, Swami, who stopped you from sleeping? Swami retorted, when you are summoning me, how can I go to bed and sleep? The poor lady explained, I am in the habit of doing Namasmaran and utter Om Shri Sai Ram within myself. I did not intend to call you. Bhagavan told her, what does that japam mean? It amounts to calling me. Namasmaran is no different from summoning the God. Namasmaran means telephoning God. Murthy, Sri Kasturi's son, was doing research in geology. In that connection, he had to tour forest areas in Assam. On one occasion, when he was alone, a wild bear noticed him and began closing in on him. Murthy fled for his life, but the animal continued to chase him. As he ran over some rocks in his desperate flight to safety, he tripped and fell down but continued to cry loudly, Baba, Baba. Within moments, a motor truck appeared there from nowhere, and Murthy found safety by getting into it. After a few months, he happened to be in Prashantanilayam. Swami told him, I received your phone call and dispatched a truck. Did it reach you in time? Maya, the terrible dog. Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba once described the power of Maya in a metaphorical way. He said, God is the master of Maya, delusion, illusion, ignorance. Maya is like a terrible dog standing guard at the entrance of the God's home and does not allow outsiders to come near him. If you are earnest about reaching God, there are only two ways. The first course is to put on the form of the master. Then the dog does not harm you at all. This is known as Sarupya, that is, assuming God's form. But you should not make a slightest mistake, otherwise the dog will not spare you. The second course is to cry out for the master in a loud voice. He will hear your cry. He comes to you, receive you with open arms, and holding your hands, leads you inside with overflowing kindness. This is called Samipya, that is, being in closest company with God. The dog will not do any harm to you as you are with his master. Being God's pet dog, Maya obeys him. If he wills it not to give you trouble, you will not be touched. You will know no fear. What a simple and beautiful parable Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai has given us. He has revealed how he, of his own volition, surrenders to his devotees. How easy is the second course. The devotee can only to call God most earnestly with all his heart, with agony in his voice, with yearning suffusing with whole being. This is Namasmaran. Millions of Sai devotees have found through personal experience that God responds to Namasmaran and presents himself before his devotee with boundless mercy and compassion. Baba's exhortation is that incessant Namasmaran of a deity too so elevates the devotee that he attains the form of that deity. Bhagavan says that incessant smaran of Lord Sri Rama's name by his brother Bharata resulted in Ramayana, in the latter looking like Sri Rama to all. A similar thing happened with Uddhava in Sri Mahabhagavat, who did uninterrupted smaran of Lord Sri Krishna's name. Earnest prayer. When you do Namasmaran, fill it with great longing, anguish, and love for God. God always looks mainly for the intensity in his devotees' prayer. Sai Baba and said Baba and illustrated this statement with the following charming story. Adi Shankara, when was then a little child, their family deity was goddess Rajarajeshwari. Shankara's father used to worship the Devi every day. One day he had to go out to some place on business. Therefore, he entrusted the task of Devi worship to the little boy. The child performed worship as usual and ritually offered milk to the deity. He waited and waited in expectation. He had always believed that Devi was actually drinking the milk offered by his father every day. So he waited for Devi to take milk, but it did not happen. In great anguish and with tears flowing down his cheeks, the little boy earnestly pleaded, "What is the matter now, my mother? Won't you accept milk offered by me? Won't you bless me with your grace?" The motherly heart of the Supreme Mother melted in compassion and pity on seeing the agony in the tender child's heart, and she gulped down the whole of the milk that the little devotee offered. Shankara knows that the milk which his father daily offers to Devi was treated as holy, and after puja his father would give a little of that as tirtham, liquid prasadam, to every member of the family. But on this day not a drop remained for such distribution. The goddess has taken all in a single gulp. He feared that the other members of the family would suspect him of having swallowed the entire quantity of milk. Overcome by shame and desperation, Shankara wept. Moved by his distress again, the merciful Devi filled the container full with milk. She did not pour milk from her hand. The milk that she gave came directly from the Divine Mother's breasts. Shankara's agonized prayer was thus amply fulfilled by the mother. An exactly similar incident happened very recently, which Swami narrated as follows. A person who is now here among you suddenly cried out, "Swami," in an excited and loud voice. I sensed the distress, faith, and yearning in that cry. What happened was that the saree of his wife had caught fire. Flames raged. Stunned by terror, she could not remember me. The husband was helpless and desperate and cried out for me. Their place is 200 miles away from here. The moment I heard the call, I was there and put out the flames before much harm could be done. What drew me there was the deep anguish in the cry. I am ever waiting for you. One day during Swami's public audience, a devotee was continuously calling him. In great anguish, "Swami, Swami." Swami noticed him and invited him into the interview room. He was longing for Swami's love, for Swami's divine proximity, and for an opportunity of conversing with Swami. Swami entered the room, closed the door, and was bolting it. The devotee could not hold himself any longer. He blurted out, "Swami, I have been waiting for you for the last 3 weeks, for 3 long weeks, Swami." Swami turned around and said affectionately, "Bangaru, do you know for how many years I have been waiting for you?" The man was thunderstruck. Bhagavan actually waiting for him? He was overwhelmed at the thought. Unable to bear the impact, the flood of Baba's love, he started weeping. Yes, it is a fact that Swami is waiting every moment for each one of us, wondering when will he come, when he says, "Whenever you come to me, Bangaru, you will find me awaiting your arrival." But the devotees excuse themselves, "Swami, I cannot come just now. I am deeply entangled in many things. I find myself enslaved. I am unable to come at present, Swami." Bhagavan is indulgent. He reassures his devotees, "Don't worry at all, Bangaru. It does not matter when you will be able to come. Take your own time. But so far as I am concerned, I will always be awaiting you." That arrival may take several lifetimes or births even. Several devotees plead for a personal interview with Swami. Swami, Swami, interview please. They cry out. He answers, wait, wait. It does not mean merely that they should await their turn. It also means that they are too weighty, too heavy. They have to long for many more days or even many more years in some cases. They have to suffer the agony of not being called to his presence. After they undergo some tapas, after some penance, Swami invites them for interview. That is to say, the seeker should first lose weight through austerity, self-mortification, incessant namasmaran and meditation on Swami. He has to unburden himself of the load of evils like attachments and hatred, raga, dvesha, which are weighting him down. When the devotee prepares himself in this manner, when the burden of weight is shed and he becomes light, Swami would certainly invite him to come close to him. Swami himself explained this in a different manner. He said, the more you come close to me, the more you earn my love. You become more likely to burn. What will be burned are our evils, defects and impurities. Such a burning leads to spiritual purification, to refinement. As the process of burning is accompanied by Swami's love, which acts as a shield, the aspirant is able to withstand the fiery ordeal. The oppressed are my children. When Sri Kasturi was principal of a college in Davangere, Karnataka, he had an attendant called Anantappa. That man had great devotion for Swami. He would gather puja materials like flowers, fruit, joss sticks and camphor needed for the bhajans in his master's home. To ensure that they were of the best quality, he would scout the entire market, shop by shop. Standing in front of Swami's picture in the house, he would implore him most pitiably to let a flower drop into his hand. He would be alone in front of Swami's picture conversing with him. When a faded garland removed from Swami's image was given to him, he would treat it as holy prasadam. One day Swami gave one of his photographs, a large one, to Sri Kasturi and told him, take this to Davangere and place it in Anantappa's temple. Anantappa's humble shanty truly became a temple by Swami's word. Vibhuti was dropping out of that photograph and countless people came to seeking it. Once Swami remarked also that Anantappa was like Vibhishana in Sri Lanka in Ramayana. The husband of Anantappa's younger daughter was working in the Department of Railways in Mysore. The couple stayed in an obscure house in Bangalore. That fellow was of a suspicious nature. He doubted even his wife's chastity. He harassed her incessantly. She was confined to a room like a prisoner. Nobody could intervene and bring him to the path of reason. Unable to put up with such persecution, the poor woman implored her husband to take her to Sri Sathya Sai Baba in Puttaparthi. If Baba declared her to be chaste, she said her husband should let her be in peace, otherwise she would end her life in Puttaparthi itself. Anantappa, his wife, their daughter and son-in-law travelled to Puttaparthi. Swami was all kindness. He invited them into the interview room and told Anantappa's son-in-law, your wife is illustrious and as pure as Sita, wife of Lord Sri Rama. She is like goddess Parvati, consort of Lord Shiva. He tried to reason with him, but the fellow did not relish Swami's words and became abusive. Swami threw him out and closed the door on him. He advised Anantappa not to worry. He also assured him that the man would surely mend his ways soon and live in happiness with his wife. On the way back, they reached Penugonda late in the night. They sat in the railway station awaiting the midnight train from Guntakal. Anantappa's son-in-law went on blabbering and rubbishing holy men and mendicants. Anantappa was distressed because the man had not obviously changed his evil ways. The train steamed in at midnight. The boy helped Anantappa, his wife and daughter into a third-class coach of the train and boarded a first-class coach himself. He could travel in a first-class coach as he was a railway employee. At about 1 a.m., that is an hour after midnight, the train stopped at a station called Tondi Bhavi. Suddenly, Anantappa's son-in-law began screaming in pain and moaning loudly. Hearing the disturbing noise, the guard came into the coach. Railway staff in the station also gathered to find out what's happened and what was the problem. The fellow was found rubbing his cheeks. Terror-stricken, he was furtively looking all around. The guard asked him, "Who entered this compartment and slapped your cheeks?" Weeping and moaning, he got down from the train, went and sat in the station master's room and told him what had happened. About 6 miles ahead of Tondi Bhavi station, he said, lights in the compartment were suddenly switched on. I got up and sat on my berth. There was a reddish illumination as if Sai Baba had filled the whole space. Baba started slapping my cheeks. He was all over the space around me and I was receiving slaps from every direction. As the beat on my cheeks, he was saying, "You refuse to believe me? When I say that your wife is innocent and chaste, will you stop harassing her or not? She is my child. Not only she, all the oppressed are my children. Will you obey me? Will you?" As the train approached this station, the reddish illumination disappeared. Normal bright light took its place. After this incident, there was radical transformation in the couple's lives. They started living amicably in complete harmony and love. After a few months, Bhagavan Baba was conversing with some devotees. He said that Shirdi Sai Baba would often display anger, but this present avatar was one of the love. Sri Kasturi meekly interjected, "Swami, in this present avatar, did you not beat anyone?" Baba replied, "I am now the personification of love." But Sri Kasturi persisted, "In this avatar, haven't you beaten anybody else?" To that Swami said, "Are you referring to Anantappa's son-in-law? What I did to him was only out of love for him." Sri Kasturi said, Swami's love and grace were amply showered on that poor simple girl. The ever compassionate Baba added, "Yes, on that son-in-law too." Goat and Mind. A king called several villagers together and gifted each of them a goat with an order that every animal should be well fed by its keeper. But he imposed just a single condition. When the goats were brought back to him when ordered, they should not be eating green leaves at all. In fact, they should display total distaste for leaves. As an incentive to the villagers, he announced a reward of 10,000 rupees to the villagers who would successfully tend the goats as directed. The villagers thought that if a goat was fully fed and if its stomach was full, it could take nothing more. It would refuse even green leaves, so they made it a habit to feed the animal so fully that they would not wish to touch anything. A girl, however, followed a different method of training her goat. She placed green leaves before the goat, and when the animal was about to feed on them, she gave a beating on its mouth with a stick. Repetition of this procedure had the effect of deterring the animal from touching green leaves even when they were placed right before it, although its stomach was not full. Sometime later, the king ordered the villagers to present the goats for inspection. He found that the goats started eating leaves as soon as they were placed before them. But there was one goat that was not even looking at the leaves. Instead, it was looking at the stick its keeper held. The king was delighted and promptly presented 10,000 rupees to the girl who successfully trained that particular goat in the manner ordered by him. Control of mind also requires similar hard training and severe discipline. Arjuna, eminent that he was, admitted, "Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramadi balavardhrudam." O Krishna, mind is unsteady and fickle, confusing, strong and inflexible. He prayed to Krishna to enlighten him of how to subdue the control such a difficult and unruly mind. There is no doubt that the only way to conquer the mind is to practice and relentless spiritual discipline, sadhana. Om Shri Satya Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Shanti Shanti Shantihi. End of chapter 16.